Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Tech Bites for this month. And thank you very much for joining us. This is our ninth one, so really pleased that we've kept this going and excited about doing more in the future. So thank you for your support. Just for those of you who've not attended one of these before, I'm just going to briefly explain how the platform works. So we're using this GoToWebinar platform today. So you can basically, we want you to get involved. We want you to ask questions. So please, when you've heard our presenters, if you've got questions, as they're speaking, you can type them in and I'll read those out at the end to our panel. But also, if you want to actually ask the question directly, you can do that as well, and we can turn on your microphone. We just need you to raise your green hand on the panel there. You can see, or you can just put it in the question that you want us to put the microphone on, and we'll do that as well. So we really do want to hear from you. So do get involved. Before we introduce our speakers today as well, I wanted to also highlight to you that we're doing an online 100% optical in May, 2 days, as a Sunday and a Monday. Lots of CET. I know that people have missed events in the last year, so there's a bit of a need for CET. So we'll be providing that with our partners, the AOP, but also we've got lots of sponsors and exhibitors on there as well. One of our speakers today is also attending, so there'll be lots of opportunities on that platform to meet as well. So we're using a swap card platform, which is a bit like LinkedIn, but for events. So imagine LinkedIn, the functionality of being able to connect to people, then you can actually book video meetings with them as well. You can watch fashion shows on there. We're going to curate our normal fashion shows, but we're going to do them a bit differently and go into London and use some iconic locations to show you the latest eyewear on the market. But we're also going to have some roundtable debates and all those kind of things as well. So if you haven't heard about it, do look us up and get involved and register, because there are limited places and they're going to go quite quickly. So that's a date for your diary. 100% Optical Online is 23rd and 24th of May. So on to today, and yeah, I'm delighted that we've got another amazing lineup of speakers, and to help me introduce them, I've got Jayshree joining me again. Hi, Jayshree.
Hello, Nathan. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
So today we have quite an interesting panel, don't we? We're all into innovation today. It's all about people who are entrepreneurs and innovators, which is the exciting bit of Tech Bites.
Exactly, and I think if this year-long pandemic has taught us anything, it's actually that we're a very innovative country and actually a very innovative industry. I think optics has shown us that over the last 12 months. So yeah, absolutely. So looking forward to it. So without further ado, then I'll introduce our speakers. So firstly, we've got Rajna Murthy and Jonathan Roos. Hi, how are you?
All good, thank you.
Hi. Good stuff. So I'm going to introduce you all individually, and then we'll come to you to do your sessions. So we've also got Richard Kirk from Polyphonics. Hi, Richard.
Hello.
And we've also got Paul Clare, founder of Opticommerce. Hi, Paul.
Hello, Nathan. Hello, everyone.
Good stuff. So yeah, I think we're ready to kick off. So I think we're going to kick off with Jonathan and Rajna, if I'm correct. Jayshree?
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. So let's get moving. This is going to be quite an interesting ride, I think. Well, let's do it. It's quite exciting because the products that we have are quite, like I said, innovative. So let's do it. So Rajna Murthy and Jonathan Roos. Both are consultant oculoplastic surgeons who work together at Face Restoration Clinic in Harley Street, London. They are global authorities in aesthetics and oculoplastics and have over 60 publications, including in the major international and academic journals. They have been elected to the American, European, and British oculoplastic societies and won multiple national and international awards. Rajna has been recognised with a shortlisting for the 2021 Aesthetic Awards as Consultant Surgeon of the Year, and Jonathan holds a PhD in molecular cell biology from Cambridge and was a visiting scientist at Harvard Medical School. Together, they have developed Purifies, which is the subject of their presentation today. Off you go, guys. You're going to include the whole thing. They're going to do the whole thing with the life hack as well. So over to you.
So then I'm going to start with your video and then we'll hear you speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Jayshree.
Yeah, here we go.
You ready? Good stuff. Jonathan, so do you want to start the presentation now? I think we're on a slideshow. Oh,
Oh, well, we muted you. Oh
I
dear.
think you can unmute now. Sorry, apologies if that's. I think the video cuts
There
out.
we go. Can you hear us now?
We
Yeah,
can
we
indeed.
Have you got our presentation on your? Yeah. Are you seeing the presentation?
We are, but we need it in slideshow.
How about
That's
now?
it. Perfect. Perfect.
Lovely. Okay. So good afternoon. Today, Rachel and I are going to tell you a little bit about this new product, Purifies, which we think offers a step change in periocular hygiene. So let me tell you about it. We're going to cover a number of aspects today, all 5 of these. So basically what it is, what it does, what you can use it for, how you use it, and then finally where you can get it. But before we do that, we were asked to just introduce ourselves, but you already heard from Jayshree that we work in Harley Street together. We spent 35 years together in the NHS and about 50 years doing medicine combined. So we thought it was time for a change. And what we were going to do was tell you a little bit now about our life hack. And as it turns out, our life hack is Purifies. It's something we're able to use both in the professional setting and in our personal setting. So we use it when we travel, we use it when we go out to restaurants, and we use it on our patients when we examine them, particularly now during the pandemic. It has a feeling of comfort to be able to have a product like this that's easily portable. But let me tell you what it is. So Purifies is a pure solution of something called hypochlorous acid. And this is the substance that immune cells use when they come to attack and inactivate invading microorganisms, whether they be bacteria, viruses, anything you can think of. It works through an oxidizing method of action. So it's much more gentle. It's not sort of cytotoxic the way chlorhexidine might be or other periocular cleansers that are in common use. So we felt there was a real need for another substance that would be readily usable, that's of a professional strength, but easy and safe. And so we teamed up with Clinical Health Technologies over here, who have a long history of producing hypochlorous acid. And so together we've managed to alter the pH in such a way that it's compatible with the eye surface so that it doesn't sting and still provides that strong, effective cleansing antimicrobial activity. So
what does Purifies actually do? Well, Purifies represents a step change in periocular hygiene. It's a very effective cleanser, which also has antimicrobial action, as you heard. It doesn't sting, unlike, I don't know whether you've tried drops yourself, but unlike most antimicrobial agents that are used near the eye, so povidone, iodine, chlorhexidine, stings quite a lot. It doesn't cause any harm, and it's not cytotoxic, unlike the ones that I mentioned already. So it doesn't affect contact lenses. A lot of the things that we use at the moment contain alcohol, which can be quite nasty around the eye area, and it doesn't stain. Most importantly, it's an antimicrobial that doesn't cause any resistance. So it doesn't have the same issues that we would have with antibiotics, for instance. Go to the next. Thank you. So its main use is professionally, but as you already heard, it's very useful to be used at home, and there's lots of other potential uses as a cleanser. It can be used on eyelashes, on lash extensions, with makeup. It can be carried to the gym. It can be used on other surfaces, although it is a cleanser for the periocular area, and it is safe for use in the eye, unlike anything else that is available at the moment. So where can we get it? Well, we have teamed up with Positive Impact, and this is their slide that they've provided with the website. So we do believe that this is something that is going to revolutionize care of our patients in the optometry sector and in the ophthalmology sector. And it's something that has revolutionized our lives for the last year. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And I'll turn on my camera. Jayshree, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here. Hang on, let me just see if I can just get myself there. Give me a minute. I'm struggling with my little IT stuff here today. There we are. Am I back? There you are. I'm back. There we go.
We'll come back obviously at the end. We'll have a chat with Jonathan and Rajna. And yeah, so obviously we've got your questions. Please do keep them coming. And yeah, I think next we're going to hear from Richard.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll get Richard on screen.
I've asked for his camera to be turned on.
Yeah.
There, Richard. Yeah, brilliant.
There you go. I'll turn mine off. So we've got you in, Richard. Okay. All right. So this is Richard Kirk, CEO of Polyphotonic. Whilst Richard had an early career as a successful and widely collected international artist based in Paris, the last 20 years he's better known for his pioneering work in material science and biophotonic medical research. He is credited for many of the world's first applications, including inorganic and organic light-emitting materials. He's a regular keynote speaker internationally and sits on a number of industrial and government advisory boards. Richard and his company have won many international and national awards for innovation, research, and business. But for the last 10 years, he has focused on biophotonic therapeutics to help unique and novel approaches to the treatment of macular eye disease. The launch of the Nocturna 400 sleep mask, a non-invasive and groundbreaking treatment for diabetic eye disease, has changed the paradigm of how this sight-threatening disease is managed, and it offers a cost-effective option for both late and early stage prevention of this common but very serious complication of diabetes. Over to you.
Thank you, Jayshree. You've almost said it all. So I'll put some meat around the bones. This is the mask. It's a sleep mask, not dissimilar to the kind of thing you would wear in an aeroplane. It comes in two parts. We have a light emitting pod that you can see here, which slips into a mask, and it's worn over the eyes at night while the patient's asleep. We've spent about £20 million to date developing the mask, and it's we've been funding clinical trials all over the world, and is that gone on full screen? There we go.
Just that's it. There you go.
We've spent about £20 million to date funding clinical trials all over the world and building clinical evidence. We are now starting to embark on some commercialization, and we do have, again, sales starting all over the world. And as I mentioned, it's a transformational treatment for diabetic retinopathy, which actually is the most common cause of blindness in adults at working age in the Western world. We all know that diabetes is a worldwide pandemic. There's about 415 million diabetics worldwide. It's actually a lot more than that, but those are the official figures. And almost all type 1 patients and about 2/3 of type 2 patients will develop retinopathy within about 20 years of diagnosis. And it's a colossal market, primarily as the cost of the intraocular injections at about 8.5 billion currently. So I'm just trying to go forward. There we go. This is Isabel. Isabel was one of our very first patients, so consequently I got to know her quite well. She called me one morning in some distress. Isabel had been using the mask for about 6 months. She was a long-term type 1 patient, and she thought the mask wasn't working and her eyesight was deteriorating. So we took her down to the local optometrist and had a scan and looked at her eyes. And it turned out what she actually needed was a new prescription. Her eyes and her visual acuity had changed. And so that was remarkable, but it isn't entirely unusual, and we do find that patients after a few months do need an eye checkup to see whether they actually need new prescriptions. But more importantly, all the current treatment that Isabel had been receiving, injections, that all stopped as soon as she started to wear the mask. To date, we have about 1.7 million hours of recorded patient use. Now, we know that very precisely because the mask is packed with electronics. It records patient data and each mask is individualized. And I'll come to that later. But a recent NHS real-world evaluation saw that 98% of patients in the evaluation achieved positive clinical outcomes. And we have a publication that's going to come out very soon covering that. I think what's of more importance is that this real-world evaluation for 12 months only finished in the last few months. So it was during the period of the COVID pandemic. And I think it's really interesting because, as we know, diabetics were told not to go to hospital. Nearly all diabetics didn't receive treatment during the last 12 months. Certainly a lot of eye hospitals had real problems treating them. But our patients did, and they continued to get the treatment and saw great outcomes. We are CE certified, and we are qualified to sell at this point in time. So very briefly, how does it work? Well, it's all about oxygen. We all know that rods use oxygen at night, and when you dark adapt, the rod use of oxygen increases almost 60%. And incidentally, the rods actually use more oxygen than any other cell in the body proportionately. So it's all about oxygen and dark adaptation, and we get this vicious circle building. Now, when you go to sleep at night and you dark adapt, you get hypoxia. This is because the rods are demanding more oxygen. The body stimulates neovascularization in the retina. And if you're diabetic, neovascularization is compromised and you get leaky blood vessels. The current treatment for maculopathy is an injection into the eye. This is incredibly distressing for patients. They don't like it at all. It's also very expensive. It's about £6,500 per eye per year. And there are some side effects. The current gold standard treatment for retinopathy is laser, and we all know that's incredibly damaging, highly invasive. And after a number of laser treatments, you start to lose your peripheral vision, night vision, and potentially a driving license. So the mask works by putting a very narrow wavelength into the eye, which breaks this vicious circle, and we can prevent dark adaptation. And what the eye actually sees at night is this. So here, the red is the rod response, the blue is the cone response, and we put a very narrow wavelength into the eye. It peaks at 498 nanometers, and this prevents dark adaptation, and this is what the eye actually sees at night. And you can see the cone response is very, very minimal, so we don't have any reported issues with sleep, circadian rhythm, and all of those issues. We do a lot of post-trial analysis, and we find, and this data is actually NHS data from a recent evaluation. And you can see that patient experience outcomes is overwhelmingly positive, with all patients, well, most patients saying that they see eyesight improvement. And also, it's very important that if a patient is going to take a treatment, it has to be comfortable. They have to be able to do that. And so one of the things that we do is again, a lot of analysis about the ease of use. Is it comfortable? Do you want to wear it? And all those experiences, and we feed that back into our product design. And again, we can see that the overwhelming response is incredibly positive. Patients do find it easy to use, and they also find it very, very comfortable. Does the patient take the treatment? So the mask is intelligent. It's packed with electronics. We produce quarterly reports about patient use. You can see here the green is actually the 8-hour period of recommended wear, and we can see that the patient's overwhelmingly positive. All this information is stored inside a software system we've developed, which again has been trialed and is in use all over the world. And this information is fed directly back to the patient and the consultant or the issuing healthcare professional. It's also important to say that we never sell directly to the patient. We get to know a few of our patients through clinical trials, or we're particularly interested in certain cases, but we only ever work through healthcare professionals. So who can use the mask? Well, all diabetics can use it. We have data from early stage and acute late stage. And It can be used as a preventative. So patients that are worried, we tend to find that type 1s are more concerned about their own particular treatment because they've been in the process, the hospital system for longer. So they're very aware that they're on this path towards some issues. But we also know that it treats late stage, and we have lots of evidence. How much is it? Well, supply price is about 100, well, it is £150 programmed, and again, it's individualized. The patient uses it 4 times a year. The mask has an inbuilt clock. The mask turns itself off after 3 weeks, and it requires replacement. And the recommended price to the patient is £250 per quarter. But this is with all the supporting service and monitoring, etc., included within that cost. So I'd like to thank you very much. I look forward to some questions. Those are our contact details. Thank you, Jay Cherie. Brilliant.
Good stuff. Well, I tell you, that's quite interesting little opportunity for people, actually, Richard. So let's see what happens. Looks good.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, let's see. Next person is Paul. Are you there, Paul?
Yes.
Good stuff. Okay. So are you all ready? Are we all ready to go on your slideshow and everything? We're all good?
Yes.
I'll just do the introduction. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do my introduction then. So, Paul Clare, a graduate of Kingston University, founded the Opticommerce brand in 2008, using his entrepreneurial skills to seize an opportunity to provide business owners with an e-commerce platform to sell products easily and quickly online. Opticommerce is a business focused solely on serving the optical industry. And as a co-founder and director, his main responsibilities are understanding optical market needs and providing digital services to the optical industry, but also to translate those needs to the Opticommerce website development team to provide optimum online solutions to optometrists and opticians based in the UK and Ireland. Over the last year, however, Opticommerce customers have now seen a triple-digit increase in online sales, and expansion has continued abroad with clients in over 10 countries as the company is considered to be a market leader. Paul will give you an overview of some of the online solutions which have helped practices generate ongoing revenue despite social distancing restrictions to build a more resilient eye care business going forward. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Jeshri. Once again, welcome. My name is Paul Clare. As Jeshri mentioned, I'm a co-founder of Opticommerce. I established the company in 2008 along with my business partner, who's an ophthalmologist, Dr. Cookie Hundle. We actually saw an opportunity in the market back then that there was going to be a requirement for digital presences online, and in many cases, e-com was growing. In the optical industry, obviously, it was a bit behind other industries, but it was going to become paramount. In the last 12 months, I think that's become more obvious with lots of businesses now, including some of the bigger multiples on the high street opening online stores. I think that's the way ahead as well. As you can see from the slide, we've worked with a number of UK clients offering anything from a brochure website all the way up to an e-commerce website, and then we support those websites via our digital marketing services. We build really nice sites, and then we build traffic to those sites, which ultimately result in more revenue and more new customers for those practices. So if I just explain a little bit about what I'm going to go through today, it's quite a vast topic, but I'll try to share 3 online learnings with you to ensure that once the lockdown kind of eases and things become a bit more normal in the future, in the near future, that your practice thrives in 2021. We have to date, by the way, helped 400 practices in the UK build their online presence and support them with digital marketing. So we are very well placed in terms of seeing patterns and seeing trends and being able to adapt to that and test the market with new technologies as well. Okay, so if I go into it. So the first thing I would recommend is that you have a clear, concise, informative website, and that is optimized for mobile. Mobile is very, very important, and I believe that over 60% of web views are taking place on the mobile, and more often than not, somebody will probably look at your mobile website, which is slightly different to your desktop website, before they actually engage with you in any other way, whether that be a phone call or visiting your practice. So having a good mobile website is very important. If we look at the before and after here, there's one of our customers in Northern Ireland. An optimized website is literally one that's easy to use and has a better UI. So if we look at this, I'm hovering over the button here. If you press that button, you can start an old call. In the past, I've seen it with some websites where you have to kind of look at the screen, copy the number down, take a note of the number, and then dial it. It becomes far more difficult to do that. In this case, also, you have a menu here. That menu is lots of space wasted on just a menu. On this one, we show a lot more, and the menu could be drop down by hitting that button there. So it is a lot better having an optimized design for mobile, which is different to a mobile friendly website, by the way. A mobile friendly website is your other website adapting to the mobile phone, whilst a mobile optimized website is one that's built for the mobile first. And as time goes on, that will become more and more important. Continuing with the website in terms of information and what you do. Here we've done a before and after of one of our sites before. Taylor Biddle is a client of ours in the West Midlands. This is a website we developed, I believe, about 6-7 years ago, and it was replaced by this website here. As you can see, the look is a lot cleaner, it's a lot better. We've also included professional video within the site. Video plays a very big role when it comes to engaging with the customer and keeping people on your website longer. Just from a statistical perspective, if you keep people on your website longer, you're much more likely to engage with them and then become patients and inquiries coming through from that patient. Video also plays a big role with search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is something that helps you on Google by getting you more rankings and higher up the page, which is what everyone, I think, seeks. We also have current and updated content on this. The number of websites we've seen with old banners not being updated, maybe with information of services and offers from maybe 2 years ago, it's amazing. A website is a live piece of marketing material, and as such, it should be regularly updated with real offers, real information about your practice, current opening hours, and things like that. In addition, a website should have relevant images, i.e. relevant images for me are not stock images, but real pictures of the practice, showcasing who you are and what you do. So that's the first tip. Second tip is you should include features in your website which make a difference and that also offer more engagement and more possibilities for your patients and provide services possibly online before they need to come in store. One such example of that is an online booking. An online booking is a platform whereby you can book an appointment directly into your practice management software and directly into your diary without the need for an interaction with the patient via a phone call. The benefits are that if you are driving traffic to your website, we have found that an online booking system versus a form where people enter their details and await a phone call has about a 10-to-1 difference. That means 10 times more people from the same traffic will book via an online booking system than they would through a requester form. We found that through our data. Another great feature is, and as technology improves, this is getting even better. We have a system that we provide through Fitting Box, which is a virtual try-on system, which allows a patient to try the frame on their face virtually while sitting in the comfort of their own home on a desk like I am right today, and they can try on the frames. Normally I would show you this technology, but today because the camera is being used to show me while I'm talking to you guys, this can't be, it doesn't detect 2 cameras, you can work with 1 camera. But this increases the conversion rates, i.e. the percentage of people that will buy from you by over 40% if you have an e-commerce website, for example. And that brings me on to the next thing, e-commerce. Previously we've had it, some opticians have been very open to the idea, have embraced it, others have not, but now I think it's becoming more obvious, especially as the multiples are doing it, that e-commerce has to be a channel that you bring into your business rather than wanting to have it. It's a must-have now, and I think the earlier you do it, the better in the long run for your business. We have a virtual consultation. During the pandemic, we saw that people could not go into practice, people did not feel comfortable leaving their own homes. A virtual consultation, not just in the optical field, but in any sector, allowed customers basically to engage with the businesses from the comfort of their own home. And in our case, the virtual consultation allows for recommending frames, recommending lenses, talking face-to-face via video chat, as you're seeing with myself today. And it basically brings the in-store experience online or as close as possible. So, at the end of the day, you've invested heavily in your staff and your premises. This allows you to engage with your customers at the highest level possible through a digital platform. Another feature we have is the catalogs. So in many cases, practices offer great clinical services, but also have great designer frames and brands that people aspire to have. When you visit their website, in most cases, they have a mention of the brands, but they don't really show the brands. However, in store, people come inside the store to look at these frames. So why not bring that to your website? And I'll show you an example of this. Here's one of our customers that recently went live, Ardoic in Scotland. I'm going to show you their website. So here is their website, the category, the catalog will now appear. So within the site, you've got all the information about the various different pages and services. But within that now, we can browse the catalog. We can select the Ray-Ban frames. The benefit here is that it doesn't only show the Ray-Bans that you have in store, but it shows a complete Ray-Ban collection. Within that Ray-Ban collection, it will say, let's see what colors this particular frame comes in. You're able to see the frame, the colors, the different versions of that frame that are available. And if you're interested, in this case, this is e-commerce, so you can actually showcase that frame. It will talk about the sizes and the material that frame comes in. The benefit of this site is that people will spend longer on your website, and ultimately if they spend longer, there's more chance of gaining their trust and gaining them as a business. But also, if you look at the URL here, that URL now contains the keyword of Ray-Ban and the model number. If somebody is searching locally for a frame, as many people do, they will find this website much more likely than finding another website that doesn't show the frame. So this website will end up having lots more traffic than a brochure website. A brochure website is just one with content. This has an actual catalog. So that's the benefit there. Obviously, if I go back one stage, some of these frames, as I mentioned, one can try on virtual try-on. Here's an example of virtual try-on, where if you were to click on this button, you can go on to seeing this frame, but you can actually see it on your own face. If you haven't seen this before, I'd highly recommend that you make a note of this website, and later on just try it, where you click that button and it will go on your face. It'll make a big impact on you. And I think having that on your website and your customers being able to see that would actually have a big wow factor as well. We'll go back to the presentation. So that's the catalog. And the next thing is dominate. So it's nice having a website, but ultimately a website is there to get you new patients and retain your current customers and offer services to them. So how do you dominate your local market, and how do you dominate the web? Well, people are currently all over the web. They spend time on Instagram, they spend time on Facebook, they spend time on Google. You want to make sure that if someone does a Google search for words related to your service, such as optician near me, good opticians, opticians with an OCT, whatever that might be, that you rank for those words on the first page of Google. A page of Google is broken down into 3 basic areas: a paid listing area, which is pay-per-click area, a maps listing area, and then the organic area, which comes from a search. You want to be in as many positions as possible on that page, not just one. So the more positions you cover, the more likely you are to be clicked on. In Facebook, once again, that's also a search. People search in Facebook, people see adverts in Facebook. Once again, a larger demographic of the plus 40s are on that platform. So again, I would showcase yourself there and do more on Facebook. And then Instagram, in terms of younger people, people are spending a lot of hours there, a lot of hours per day. So by being there, there's much more chance of being seen. So build a good website, dominate your local search traffic on Facebook, Instagram, and Google, and you'll result in a better online presence, which will help your business. Now, I would recommend that you reach out to me if you have got a platform and you are looking at changing it, or you would just like to find out more information about how you can improve it, what possibilities are. Read our case studies on our website, have a look through our blog, where you'll learn that we've recently done one on pay-per-click, the benefit of pay-per-click marketing, how it can help you attract 15, 20 patients extra per month into your practice. We have done so for many other people in the UK. Check out some of our client websites. We have, as I mentioned, about 400 practices, so more than likely 1 or 2 near you are probably built using our platform already. Look at our website. Once again, there are a number of education webinars there where you can learn more about the benefits of SEO, the benefits of pay-per-click marketing, the benefits of e-commerce, how you can embrace them, how they can be involved in your site. And if you're interested in learning more and seeing how this can benefit you, we could offer you a free digital audit where we do a review of your website, see how it's already conducting, how it's performing on different platforms, and then give you some independent kind of verifications of what you could do to improve that online. On the right hand side, you see my details. Please take a note of those details. If you have any questions after the webinar and after the question and answer session, please feel free to contact me. I'll be happy to have a conversation with yourselves and go through those questions. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Paul. That's great. And
Yeah.
thank you, everybody. And yeah, I think we're going to do our question Q&A now. So if everyone puts
Yeah, we are. But hold your horses. Hold your horses there, Nathan. We have 2 things. Now, rightly, Jonathan and Rachna did their life hack, which is their product, which is quite something. I like that. That's the first on Tech Bites. But Richard hasn't done his life hack, his favorite book, or his app, and neither has Paul. So we need to get one of these out of either one of them. Richard? Oh, can't hear you. Can't hear you. Yep. Oh, here we go. Is he there? Can't hear him.
Hello, you can hear me now?
There you go.
When you mentioned I was a painter, I have a few paintings in the Pompidou.
Okay.
Wow.
So there you go. That's a bit unique. We'll accept that.
They're not on display. They're just in the collection somewhere.
Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty good. Paul, life hack app or book?
Fun fact for me, was that I'm about to become a dad for the very first time. never was expecting it, but I'm really happy, and it's a very fun time for me in my life right now.
Okay. Well, you'll be needing a lot of life hacks in the near future, I should think. So don't worry about that. That's congratulations. Well done. Great stuff.
Congratulations.
Good stuff.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for your presentations. They were excellent, and we've got some questions that have come in. So I'll just remind people that if you want to if you want us to switch on your microphone, then we can do that as well. But yeah, I'm going to do that with Tony in a minute. But first question came in was for Richard. Does the light affect people's sleep or your patient's sleep?
So it doesn't. As you can see, it's actually a very low level light. But one of the very first studies that we undertook were sleep studies. So we were looking at psychovigilance. We were looking at the impact in the morning, and we did a great deal of tests. And it doesn't affect the ganglion cell. So it isn't actually having an effect on circadian rhythm either. So again, we've got lots and lots of data. We've undertaken those tests in different countries as well. We have a new sleep study starting in Brazil shortly, and also another one in the US. So it's a continuous thing that we have to go through, because obviously we're working in a highly regulated environment. But I think the thing to take away is the mask wouldn't work if it affected the patient's sleep, because it would just be too uncomfortable to wear. So again, one of the things is we get a lot of feedback from patients saying no, the Troxler effect kicks in, where the brain chooses to ignore certain things that are constant. And what we find is that when you've worn it for a few minutes, the brain just ignores it.
Okay, so Syed, I hope that answers your question. Tony Samuels has asked a couple of questions. So Tony, if you're able to unmute, you can ask your question directly. So I don't know if you're there.
Tony's always there on Tech Bites.
No, he's not responding to that. So
okay.
I'll ask one of them. I think again, this might be for you, Richard. It might be for Jonathan actually. I don't know. Will cataracts alter the performance? And can I try it in practice?
That would be for Richard, I think.
No, it shouldn't do. We'd have to look at the severity of the cataracts and take each thing on its own merit, but in principle, no.
Okay, cool. I've got a question. So Rachna or Jonathan, have you tried the product on your own eyes? Have you used the product yourself?
I mean, absolutely. The main indication for this is for blepharitis. And so blepharitis is inflammation of the eyelid margin and the eyelids, and it is something that is associated with microbial imbalance of the eyelids. And as you know, we've all been under a lot of stress for the last year. We've all been working on the front line, seeing patients, and we've been wearing masks. We've been wearing masks and we've been wearing eye protection as well. And so blowing lots of bacteria all over our eyes. And I personally had two styes over the last year. My son, who is 9, had one as well. And this is something that can be sprayed. I've got a bottle here. It's sprayed directly on the eye surface, literally at arm's length.
Oh, brilliant!
Onto a cotton pad and to clean along the eyelashes and the eyelids. We've had some really good reviews from patients. My team in the hospital and with Jonathan as well, the nursing staff, the ODPs, lots of people have had styes over this period of time, and it's been very quick and effective. Within a few days, they're gone. Jonathan's mother is a contact lens wearer who was one of the first users with contact lenses who used it. So I'm like, Jonathan, I think you can probably let us know what she said, but
No, so she was a contact lens intolerant for quite a long time, and she'd been using some other products which hadn't helped. And then within 6 weeks of using Purifies, she was back to wearing contact lenses.
Oh, wow.
And the cool thing about that is that it takes a little while for it to alter the microbial flora on the skin. But in addition to that, as Rachna was saying with the maskne, because it's safe, so if we've ended up with wearing masks, and with those masks, we've been developing acne around our skin, and it's very difficult to use products to clean your skin without on the go, because they all sting the eyes. Whereas this, you can use absolutely anywhere, and it's safe. You can use it as often as you want. It's not toxic, and yet it's a highly effective cleansing solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to add to that in terms of pre-operative and post-operative care for patients as well. So with every individual that comes into my clinic, to our clinic together now, and to surgery, this is sprayed on their eyes beforehand, and they go home with it, or they're recommended to use this post-operatively.
So on all my surgical patients, I tend to give them one of these afterwards to use on their sutures when they go home. But that's not really the market, the optometry market at the moment. I think for the opticians, the key thing to know is that this is something that you'll be able to use on yourself and on your patient before you get up close and examine them. And if they've got dry eyes, or they're uncomfortable, or they've got red sore eyes, it's a great thing to use, and you can't really cause any harm with it. So
great stuff.
it's
stories
sold under cosmetic license.
Great. Sorry. Go on, Jonathan.
I was saying it's actually sold under cosmetic license, so it doesn't need to be prescribed. You can just get it practically over the counter.
Brilliant. That's good. How do you store it? Does it require to be stored in a certain way?
No, just like this.
Yeah, so it has to be within a certain temperature range. So we don't have it in high temperatures. It doesn't need to be in a fridge, but kept on a shelf. And there's a shelf life for over a year. Once you open the bottle, you can use it within 3 months.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's great.
There's no alcohol in here. There's no chlorhexidine. There's no iodine. And it doesn't, as we said earlier, it doesn't really stain your clothes. So you can spray it anywhere and not worry about what you're wearing. And occasionally you can feel that it causes a small sting, but that's actually not from the substance. It's sometimes there are salts on the eyelid or makeup which can run a bit. So if you ever get that feeling, if you just spray a bit more, then it'll go away, because it's actually a non-stinging substance. I mean, you can see I've just doused myself in it and I'm fine.
I was going to say you're absolutely dripping in it probably now, but that's fine. That's okay. No worries. Cool. Any questions? Any more questions, Nathan?
Well, I don't know if Tony can hear us, but hopefully that answered his question. I think it has.
I've got one for Paul as well. Paul, I think we actually had Fitting Box is one of the previous Tech Bites. We had Annalise from Fitting Box. And I think the other thing to consider is, do you think that the opticians are a bit scared of the virtual try-on tool? Is it something they're not comfortable with, or is it something they should be embracing?
They should be embracing, because it ultimately helps their customers engage with them and their practices digitally, and that can ultimately only result in people coming in store and doing things. And trying things on is not just in the glasses, in the makeup trade, in clothing trade. It's a common thing that people are now doing, and it's technology changing the way we live, and this is part of it, and they should embrace it, really.
Yeah. So is it the case that they have the collections on the database already? Is it a case of just using the database they have, or is it? How does it match the collections that an optician might have in their practice?
We have a service called Frames Cloud, which gives the opportunity for practices to display their frame catalogs online. Those frame catalogs are always updated, so new frames are added, old frames are discontinued, and then the Fitting Box sits on top of that. So Fitting Box has around about 100,000 SKUs from the most popular brands and the best sellers of products in the world. And we match that data to our database, and then people browsing our database can engage with Fitting Box through that, basically. So it's an integrated solution.
Brilliant. That's good. Okay, I've got another one here.
Hold on, Joshua. I've got Jackie. Jackie has.
Oh, go on then. Go for it.
Jackie's here. So hi, Jackie.
Hi.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, I started my first question for Paul.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I want to find out, because I'm just thinking of starting to take my practice online. So I wanted to know whether they can support a practice from scratch to set up an online store. That was the first question. And then the second one is to find out, do you also have like a optometric dispensing software, like you have that you use in store? And if so, can that also be integrated with the e-commerce site as well?
The answer to both questions is yes. The answer to both questions, yes. We do help practices from scratch build online presences. We've done that for clients in the UK and abroad. And Opticoms is actually part of the Optical group. And Optical is a very large provider of practice management software solutions. And the two solutions do talk to each other. And that connection is growing all the time. So the answer is yes to both questions.
It's part of which group? Sorry, it's part of which group?
Optical. So the software that's currently being used in a number of independent. Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you now. Yes, okay. Okay, so you okay, cool. And okay, so that so it can be integrated. Yeah, the last question was obviously how does it work? Is it on a subscription basis? Is it a one-off payment? Is it a combination of both? I mean, what is the maintenance and the management?
We have both offerings available depending on your circumstances, really. So we have a subscription-based fee, which is a small monthly fee available, and depending on the modules, the price starts at relatively low price and builds up if you want more features. And you can also buy it outright in some cases too.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, because I'm actually overseas, so I'm glad that you actually deal with clients from overseas as well.
Okay,
brilliant.
There you go.
Lovely. I should say at that point, actually, it's a good point, Paul. At the end of this webinar, people are asked to fill in a survey. So if they want you to contact them, then they can do that via the survey. So just worth remembering when you leave the webinar to do the survey so we can share contact details.
Richard, I've got a question here saying that if an optician optometrist wanted to get involved, is there any training involved? Is there any minimum buy? How does it work? What's the next steps for an optician optometrist?
There's no minimum buy as such, and there's a lot of training. We would handhold, and you know, we've got a lot of experience bringing these patients on now. Yeah. And you have to also talk to the patient about what's going to happen to them. I mean, it's quite an unusual thing to wear a mask and understand it's a therapeutic. So, you know, the patient needs that. And yeah, we will handhold and take anybody who's interested through the process.
Yeah, that's great. Because I think sometimes people want to know about new technology, but then obviously they want to make sure they're going to provide the whole solution, not just sort of, you know, say, oh, there you go, that you know, it's not like that sort of solution, but they want to know that there's going to be backup.
And we see it as a, you know, it's a long-term relationship.
Correct.
You know, the patient is going to be using this mask for the foreseeable future. The mask is changed every 3 months, and so there's a continuous dialogue. And we also use that. I mean, the patient data is anonymized, but we use that data to build real-world evidence as well. So we have a lot of communication, and you know, and at the end of the day, we want to know how the patient's doing.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. Okay. Yeah, and do you work with ophthalmologists as well as so ophthalmologists and opticians and optometrists? You're working right in the hospital sector, obviously, with all of that as well. Yes,
we tend to work with a lot of, well, on our board we have 3 major advisory boards: an Asian advisory board, a European, and a North American advisory board. And these are some of the most well-renowned key opinion leaders, KOLs, ophthalmologists in the world. Certainly some of the top 10 sit on our board. And so we work at a very high level in terms of research and critical analysis and strategy. And we also work with optometrists. Now, in the UK, optometrists are fairly unique. Optometrists are eye doctors. That isn't the same in other countries. And so our relationship with UK optometry is more on a doctor-led level than it would be in countries.
Cool, that's great. I think we're there. Is there anything else, Nathan? I've got if there's anything else. Is there any other ones on there?
No, there was another question. It might have been answered, but there was one about for Jonathan and Rajna. It was about, can purifiers be used by people with dry eyes? What about glaucoma drops?
I'm going to take that question. So glaucoma drops are the largest cause of issues relating to dry eyes. We know that glaucoma drops can be toxic to the lid margin, and they can cause narrowing of the tear drainage system. So people who use glaucoma drops, and certain glaucoma drops, in particular prostaglandin analogues, can cause more blepharitis and inflammation, which also causes dry eyes. So in a way, this is the ideal treatment to be combined with glaucoma drops, to be combined with people who have dry eyes and blepharitis, because it's a bit of a vicious cycle. You have glaucoma, you have glaucoma drops, you develop then blepharitis, and yeah, it can break the cycle.
The glaucoma drops actually work by causing inflammation. So that's why people who take glaucoma drops often have very red eyes.
Red eyes,
and
yeah.
Most of those drops are preserved with something called benzalkonium chloride, which is also highly inflammatory. But so absolutely, dry eyes, red eyes, sore eyes, infections, protection against infection, transmissible airborne infections, anything like that, contaminants. That's why we use it on when we're traveling, we use it when we go out, we use it between patients, and we use it to improve ocular comfort. And it's got actually a very nice fragrance to it as well.
The one thing I would add to that is that the reason why this is going to be a step change to how we manage our patients in the eye sector is that we're thinking more and more about the microbiome and how bacteria and viruses can be protective to us, as well as destroying the microbiome with what we use. So we use a lot of medication on our eyes, and we take them orally. There's lots of research going on into the microbiome with health and disease in other specialties, so in gut and in causing cancer. And I think we'll be hearing more and more about how the microbiome is essential, and having the right microbiome is essential for eye health.
I mean, there are already big studies looking at its role in uveitis, in thyroid eye disease, in various retinal pathologies. So this is not something new, but the what hypochlorous solutions do, what Purifies does, is it doesn't select to change the overall flora, it reduces the flora, but it doesn't put particular selective pressure. So when you take an antibiotic or something like that, it'll change your bacterial composition, and this will just lower it. And I think that that's an important point. And the other important aspect of this is that many patients are given ointments with antibiotics in them, and they are sticky and they're smeary and they blur your vision. This doesn't blur your vision, but it's an incredibly potent substance. It is the natural substance that your body uses to fight infection, and we're basically giving it to you on tap.
Brilliant. Okay.
Last question, I think. We've got one last one. Anchor, I don't know whether she's able to turn on her microphone or not, but if not, I can ask the question. Paul, which channel would you think is most important to be on to be found in the London area?
In terms of web traffic, to generate web traffic, I think ultimately you have to go on all. I think you need to be in all of them really, because it's people look at different things at different times, and being on one, it's a customer journey. People sometimes are on Facebook, sometimes they're on Google, sometimes they're browsing a newspaper with their display advertising. It's about having an approach across all of them and a multi-channel approach. That's what we advocate, rather than just trying to do one. And then what you realize over time is which one starts performing better, which one doesn't, and then you're able to optimize your campaign to get a better return on investment. I think you have to start across multiple platforms, really.
Great.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Well,
thank you all.
Thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, that was really insightful, and hopefully lots of ways in which people can, develop new revenue streams as well as grow existing ones. So thank you very much. And look at that professional Purifies demonstration product display there. So brilliant.
That's
thank you. So well done, and yeah, we'll see you all on the Optical online event in May. Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye all. Take care. Bye bye.